After abandoning me during my time in the hospital, my wife is now asking for forgiveness. 12 years later. My name is Robert, and I'm 45 years old. I want to share a life experience here to get some advice. This story goes back 10 years, when I was married to Amanda, my first wife. We were married for 5 years and had 2 children, Jenna and Kevin, who were 5 and 3 at the time. We were living a normal life until one fateful day. One morning, as I was driving to the office, a speeding vehicle coming from the opposite direction rammed into my car. The next thing I remember was waking up in a hospital bed, covered in bandages and plaster. The nurse told me I had just woken up after being in a coma for 2 days. I held my doctor's hand and thanked him for saving my life. I was thankful to be alive, but I had no idea about the disaster that was waiting for me. A week into my treatment, the doctor told me that my lower body was paralyzed and that I might never walk again. I was devastated. Amanda broke down when she heard the news. It was hard for her because she now had to manage the house and take care of the children by herself. I fell into deep depression, unable to accept the reality of being in a wheelchair. Every day I stared at the empty walls of my hospital room, cursing how my life had turned upside down. I feared that I would never be able to play soccer with my kids again, never dance with my wife, and never be free like before. To make things worse, Amanda stopped visiting me as often. In the beginning, she brought the kids to see me 3 times a week. Those moments with my family were the only thing that kept me going. But as time went on, her visits became less frequent. I begged her to bring the children more often, but she would say they didn't want to see me so much. I felt utterly hopeless. Then one day, Amanda handed me divorce papers. She told me she couldn't live with a handicapped man, saying, "I'm still young and desirable. I deserve a normal man." I won't lie. I saw the signs coming when she began to distance herself from me, but I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. About a month after the accident, some friends told me they had seen Amanda out with another man, probably someone in his 50s. They were seen holding hands at cafes and malls, mostly in the evenings or on weekends. Some said she had been having an affair even before my accident, while others thought she had become desperate and ended up with an older, wealthy man. It had been barely 2 months since my accident, and I was still in the hospital when I received the divorce papers. I may sound calm while writing this now, but back then, I was anything but calm. I was devastated and heartbroken. I was confined to a wheelchair, divorced with no income and no savings, having used everything I had to pay for household expenses and the children's education. I had insurance that covered my hospital bills to some extent, but I had to liquidate my savings to cover the remaining expenses. In the end, I was left with nothing. I wanted to scream, bang my head against the wall, and curse my fate. I don't know how I managed to keep myself together back then, but something inside me kept me sane. Maybe the fire of wanting revenge. After being discharged, I moved back to my parents' house. I was 35 years old, divorced with no income, and completely dependent on my elderly mother, both physically and financially. My mother was a florist, running a small shop in the suburbs. The little income from the shop, along with her pension, kept things afloat. With those limited resources, she still offered to support me. It was incredibly painful to be a 35-year-old man relying on his 62-year-old mother. Soon after my discharge, I went to see my children. When I reached my house, it was locked. The neighbors told me that Amanda had moved in with her lover, taking the children with her. According to them, Amanda's lover was a rich, fat old man who had been divorced 3 times and had no children. Some even called Amanda a gold digger, accusing her of being with him only for his money. I managed to get the address of her boyfriend's house and went there. When I arrived, Amanda wouldn't let me see my children, saying they had already adjusted to her boyfriend and even called him Daddy. She claimed that my sudden appearance would only confuse them more. When I insisted on meeting them, she threatened me with a restraining order. I didn't have any money to hire a lawyer. I was barely surviving on my mother's small income, so I had no choice but to back off. Less than 6 months after my accident, and only a few months after our divorce, Amanda was already living with another man. I felt disgusted. I asked her how she could move on so quickly, but she dismissed me. I know it was immature, but I was a helpless, wheelchair-bound father. What else could I do? I begged her for just one chance to prove my worth, but she belittled me, calling me a burden in her life. I asked her if she had been cheating on me before the divorce, since it seemed she was already living with this man so soon after. She brushed me off, saying it was none of my business and that I should never show my face to her again. I stood there, thinking about the 7 years of marriage we had shared, wondering how she could replace me with another man in just a few months. With tears in my eyes, I left. I went back home, feeling completely defeated and humiliated. I cried like a 5-year-old in front of my mother, who comforted me and encouraged me to take control of my life again. I was lost and directionless at first, but I decided to help my mother in her flower shop. I started making bouquets, serving customers, and cleaning the shop. Soon, I realized that the business had huge potential to grow, but my mother was too fragile to handle it on her own. I reached out to my old contacts and secured contracts with event management companies to supply flowers for their events. Gradually, I built a team and started taking contracts for venue decorations. Eventually, I launched my own event management company. It took me 10 long years to rebuild my life, but I did it. Throughout this time, my mother always had my back. She supported and motivated me to bounce back. A year after my accident, I found out that Amanda was leaving the city with our children and her lover. I rushed to the house to see my kids, but by the time I arrived, they were already gone. Before that, I had tried multiple times to reach out to my children, but Amanda insulted me and chased me away every time. Amanda had full custody of the children and could make all the decisions for them. Since I was both physically and financially challenged, I couldn't contest joint custody. I also couldn't challenge her restraining order because I was too broke to hire a lawyer, while Amanda had her wealthy boyfriend, Evan. I didn't know if Evan had been with Amanda before my accident or if he appeared afterward, but I knew he was a wealthy man with a lot of inherited property. Over the last 10 years, whenever I got leads about my children, I would travel to try and meet them, but I failed each time. Amanda constantly threatened to have me arrested, and with her boyfriend's money and connections, it seemed like they could get away with anything. By the way, even after 10 years of living together, that man never married Amanda. A year ago, I finally filed for joint custody. I had been waiting for my event management business to stabilize before taking this step. I filed for custody and was granted 15 days with my children, who are flying to visit me next week. Despite Amanda's best efforts to object to my plea in court, I hired a good lawyer who presented my case well, and I won. Plus, my children are older now, and they were asked if they wanted to meet me. They said yes. I know I can't make up for the 10 lost years, but I hope to spend quality time with my kids. As the day gets closer, I'm feeling both nervous and excited. They're now 17 and 15, and I know teenagers can be difficult. I just hope they aren't too mean or resentful. I have no idea what story Amanda has been telling them for the past decade. Should I tell them the truth about their mother? I'm really unsure. Do any of you have suggestions on how I should approach them? I'm incredibly nervous, but also very excited. I missed 2 critical pieces of information in my original post. First, about my current wife, Ashley. Yes, I remarried a beautiful woman 5 years ago. Ashley is an interior designer. I met her at an event where she was designing the wedding venue, and we were providing the flowers. I had not yet started my own company at that time. It wasn't love at first sight, but we vibed well. We kept meeting at similar events over the next few months and became friends. She was a single mother of a 3-year-old daughter. The idea of starting the event management company was hers because she had worked for one of the companies for many years and had the contacts and knowledge of the business. I partnered with her to launch the business. We dated for a year before getting married. Now we live as a happy family of 4. Ashley, her daughter Anna, my mother, and me. Her daughter was delighted to get a granny, and so was my mother. The second piece of information is regarding the accident compensation. I was hit by a speeding truck, so ideally, I should have been compensated by the logistics company that owned the truck. But at that time, the company got away with paying nothing by manipulating the facts about the accident and pinning the blame on me. I couldn't afford a good lawyer back then, so I didn't get a penny. You know how big companies work. They pay hefty amounts to their attorneys to save their backs. After my marriage to Ashley, she suggested I refile the case since we could afford a better lawyer. The case is still in court, but my lawyer has given us a positive hint that the judgment would come in our favor. Alright, coming back to my story. As I mentioned in my original post 3 months ago, my children were supposed to visit me after 10 years of my divorce. I was excited and nervous, but Ashley calmed me down and supported me through it all. I went to pick them up from the airport. The elder one, Jenna, is 15 now, and the younger one, Kevin, is 13. They have grown into beautiful and handsome teenagers. After the initial greetings, we ran out of things to say, and it was awkward for all three of us. On our way to the house from the airport, I tried to break the ice and ask them about their school life and city. I deliberately avoided talking about their mother, and they didn't bring her up either. The children were unusually silent, or maybe just waiting for an opportunity to plug in their earphones, like any other teenager. Upon reaching home, we were welcomed by Ashley. The children looked shocked, as if they hadn't anticipated this. I don't know why Ashley's presence was a surprise to them. When their mother could live with another man within months of our divorce, why couldn't I remarry? Ashley had set up the guest room for the children. We had lunch together, and Ashley laid out the vacation itinerary we had planned for the family. They gave a neutral reaction to everything. They weren't excited, but they didn't dismiss the plan either. Ashley and I were confused by their mixed response. They locked themselves up in their room, and soon after, I got a call from their mother, Amanda, accusing me of tricking our children. She said I had brought the children to my house so Ashley and I could manipulate them. I felt disoriented by her behavior. She accused me of hiding the truth about my marriage. I was baffled by her accusations. I hung up on her, but she persistently called me. I decided it was time to address the elephant in the room. I called my children and asked them what was the matter. After the initial hesitation, they spoke up. They were mad at me because they were told that I had abandoned them. Amanda had brainwashed the children against me and filled their heads with lies and deceit. I revealed the exact truth to them, that it wasn't me, but their mother who jumped to another man as soon as she got the opportunity. They were kids back then, but they remembered those incidents very well. I told them how Amanda disappeared with them to the old man's house and how she had threatened and chased me away whenever I tried to contact them. I showed them the restraining letter and all the rejected pleadings I had made to meet them. They were in tears and regretted believing their mother's lies all these years. My younger son, Kevin, admitted that once he had tried to reach out to me on social media, but Amanda caught him. She emotionally blackmailed him and made him promise never to contact me again. The children also admitted to being rebuked by Amanda's husband. Amanda and the children were mistreated at family gatherings because she was unmarried. Despite the man paying for their education, he was never a father figure to them. My heart ached as I learned about my children's adversity. After all the truths came out, we hugged each other and cried our hearts out. We went for a week-long vacation in Florida and had a great time together. Jenna and Kevin bonded with Ashley and Anna, who was turning 8 this year. I couldn't be happier seeing all my family together. My children uploaded our group photos on social media, captioning them, "Happy Family." As soon as Amanda saw those photographs, she called them up and berated them for their foolish behavior. She blamed them for betraying her by bonding with us. She texted me, threatening that she would not let me meet my children further if I did anything to turn them against her. I laughed at her hollow threats and continued enjoying our vacation. After returning from the vacation, my children met with my relatives. My relatives happily hosted them, and I was delighted to see the old bonds rekindled. When they were about to leave, they promised to keep in touch despite Amanda's threats. They said they felt suffocated living in that house and would move back with me once they completed high school. I hugged them and bid them goodbye. After going back, they confronted Amanda about her deceit, but she turned the tables on me, accusing me of manipulating them against her. It's been a few months since they returned, but we talk regularly. I hope to have them back with me soon. Thanks a lot. I know it's been a long time since I updated, and there's been a lot of drama in the last 6 months. After my first meeting with my children 3 months ago, the impending court case with the logistics company got settled. Guess what? I got hefty compensation not only for the accident but also for the injustices in the first trial. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but in the initial trial, the logistics company, whose truck rammed into my car, manipulated the case and pinned the blame on me for the accident. As a result, I wasn't compensated at all. I appealed again at my wife's suggestion and won this time. I gave the news to my children, and they were equally elated. They wanted to meet me, and I promised to have them back with me permanently. A month later, Amanda showed up at my office. She held my hand and asked me for forgiveness. I was taken aback by her sudden appearance. She admitted that after my accident, she became desperate and found an old man who wanted a sugar baby. I didn't know about these terms until I Googled them that day. The man had a few horrible experiences with younger women who ran away with his money after a few months, so he decided to settle with a not-so-young sugar girl, Amanda, who was 32 at the time. Amanda had 2 children, which served as a guarantee of her loyalty. The man had clearly stated that he would not marry her and would instead keep her as his mistress because he didn't want to share his inheritance with my children. Amanda agreed to his terms because he promised to feed and fund their education. I asked her why she didn't get a job. She said she had never worked and wasn't sure if she could earn a similar lifestyle to the one her lover gave her for free. She kept saying that she did everything to protect the children's future. She stood her ground, claiming the children would have grown up in poverty if she hadn't taken that step. I got so annoyed at her nagging that I yelled, saying she could have at least given me a chance to bounce back. If she was so concerned about our children's future, she should have discussed it with me instead of jumping to conclusions and deserting me without any warning. I clarified that I had moved on and that her pleas didn't matter to me. She recounted all the happy moments we shared, like our wedding day and the birth of our 2 children. I shrugged her off, saying I was a different person now, and all those memories had faded away. They didn't mean anything to me anymore. She crossed the line by saying that she and my children were my real family, not Ashley and Anna. She claimed that Anna wasn't my daughter and that I could never have a proper family with Ashley and Anna. I was disgusted by her cruel words. She insisted that I take her back so the real family could reunite. I made it clear that I love Ashley and Anna, and they are my real family, not her. She refused to leave my office and created a scene. She finally left when I threatened to call the police. I went home and told my mother and Ashley about the incident. Ashley was naturally distressed, but she's a mature woman and didn't make a big deal out of it. My mother said she never liked Amanda because of her selfishness. Mom even suggested that Amanda had returned only because of the money I had received after the court settlement. That woman is indeed a gold digger. When my children learned about their mother's behavior, they berated her and told her to stay in her lane. I'm not sure how her sugar daddy found out about the incident, but he threatened to throw her out if she tried to reach out to me again. I couldn't be more thankful to him. The latest update is that my children are moving in with me this month. They will stay with us briefly before I enroll them in a nearby college. They wanted to enjoy their college life and stay in a hostel. I believe we should stay connected but also give each other some space to get to know one another better. The children have abandoned Amanda, and in the end, she is left with nothing but her sugar daddy. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe my channel.